What's up, Grayson Report? How's it going? Happy Monday. What is up? I feel so close. What's up, D Nice, Heather, whatever, Gunner Girl, Lisa Boo, Julissa, Tammy. How's everyone doing? Brandon. I feel like you can barely see me. I couldn't figure out. As you can tell, I'm not in my studio. So the picture, I feel like I'm trying to grab at you guys, like I'm sticking up from a high table. I couldn't figure out how to change to zoom it out a bit, but oh well, that happens. How's everyone doing? Did you guys do anything interesting over the weekend? Tyranna, what's up? Watched any cool movies? How was everyone's Mother's Day yesterday? I know it was yesterday. Sometimes, or if you're not from the state, it might be 2 days ago. Oh my God, I feel so short. All right, there. Marissa, I'm a new sub. Oh, Marissa, thank you for subbing today. And thank you for talking in the chat, because I know some people, they'll sub and they'll lurk. But don't be afraid, guys. If you're new here, don't be afraid to say hi. We do not bite. Bernadette, what's up? Lisa Boo goes, it was a good Mother's Day. We'll wait for a few more minutes for people to trickle in before I'll get into my main topics. And I do have a topic in a minute here to get us started before I get into the spooky wookie. D-Nice just having some salsa con queso. Maya's resting in her bed. Oh, that's cool. Joanne, how's it going? Chris, what is up? Chris, you're on time. Lena, I want to say, I apologize if I'm butchering your name, but what is up? Or Lina? Osiris, how's it going? Julissa goes, it was busy. I'm tired. Yes, D-Nice. Skeleduck is somewhere in this background. I did not forget him. I did bring him with me. For anyone who is new to the channel, he looks like this in the upper right-hand corner. Right there, that is what he's looked like. He's somewhere back here. Just remind me before the end of the stream, and I will reveal his location. Thank you, D-Nice, for reminding me, because sometimes I forget. Matthew, how's it going? Osiris goes, how does the PA speaker in the background sound? It's awesome. I have one. I actually have the same exact one at home. They're loud, especially when you're bumping music at 12 in the morning like I do. But I don't care about my neighbors, so it doesn't matter. I haven't gotten any complaints, so hey. Marissa goes, I'm totally addicted to the Scientology protest, but when Lewis mentions this channel, it had my attention. Oh, super cool. Well, welcome, Marissa. Osiris goes, cool, because no, it is good. I have Osiris, I have 2 of them, and I have no complaints with them. They work great. All right, guys, to get us started, while I wait for people to trickle in before I get into the spooky wookie, if you guys are from Florida, you might have heard of this. It's not spooky related, but just so you guys aren't looking at my mug doing this. So, I like to open it up with something in the news that I find that's interesting, and this popped up. Let me make sure you're seeing it, because sometimes I forget. If you're from Florida, you probably heard about this. It's the Ghost Squadron planes clip wings during Fort Lauderdale Air Show. 2 Ghost Squadron, and the only reason why I found this because hence it said ghost, and while I was looking at ghost in the news, this popped up. So I'm going to start off with this while we wait for people to come in before I get into the haunted houses 2 Ghost Squadron planes clipped wings while performing a maneuver on Sunday during the Fort Lauderdale Air Show. It was a close call during a formation. The show continued. Chris Dorado, the publicist for the show, said the pilot returned to base safely. It's a demo show. Things can happen. It's about how you handle them, Dorado said. And I will play the clip after I finish the article. This year's performer lineup included the Thunderbirds, the A-10 Thunderbolts, and U.S. Navy FA-18 Rhino demo teams, the U.S. Special Operations Command, Paracommandos, a Coast Guard SAR demo, Kevin Coleman said, and the Red Bull teams. They are very skilled aviators, Dorado said. Officials with the Federal Aviation Administration said they are investigating the incident and said the agency has to approve any air show and whether participants can do the maneuver safely. I have no doubt that these pilots can do these maneuvers. It just probably happened. The pilot probably got a little too close, which happens, but he was able to pull out of it. So that is all that matters. And I guess it talks about the ticket prices. And Eerie is there. So we'll get into the video real quick here, just so you could see it. I'll probably stop it before because there's some music.
Stunt planes clipping wings during a performance. Local 10's Roy Ramos is live with the video and the growing investigation. Roy.
Yeah, Nicole, it is really amazing to see what these pilots are capable of and how they are able to conduct these maneuvers. So much preparation goes into putting together an air show like this, but unfortunately at times things can go wrong. A close call high in the sky above the beach while spectators of the Fort Lauderdale Air Show witnessed an unscripted mishap as the wings of 2 jets with the Ghost Squadron clipped one another. Watch as the pilots are forced to break away from their tight formation, flying just inches apart to avoid what could have easily ended much worse.
Not very common, but you know, it's a demo show, so things can happen, but it's how you handle them.
Chris Dorado with the air show told us in this case, the Ghost Squadron cut their performance short, quickly landing after one of their jets showed visible damage to its winglet.
Declared an emergency. They went back to their base of operations, and the pilots were unharmed.
The mid-air collision happened Sunday, and that plane damage, the FAA said, was an Aero L-39 Albatross. Fortunately, that pilot was able to land the aircraft safely, as was the rest of his squadron, but its investigators now working to find out how and why that contact between the 2 jets was made. The incident all playing out in front of large crowds.
All right, guys, just so you can get an idea of, oh my God, I feel so short. just for you guys to get an idea while we wait for people to trickle in. It said, Chris Barber, it says a near miss. It was a near hit. But if you saw that the pilot was able to get out of it, like you can see how he separates, but he kind of like, swerved a little bit, but he got out of it. And I'm giving kudos to the pilot for that, because Panda Bear, how's it going? It is scary, Lisa, because it was right. That actually looks like a pretty cool air show. It's like right off the beach. I grew up with a military dad, so he was in the Air National Guard. So I've always been around military bases and airplanes, and that's where I've gotten my love for aircraft in World War II planes. I love World War II planes. I got that from my dad. So I'm giving kudos to that pilot, because he was able to get out of that, and luckily nothing happened. Maybe there was damage. Well, obviously the article did say there was damage, or the video, I should say, did say there was damage to the plane, but it didn't look like too much. It didn't look too bad though, but he was able to get out of it. But that is scary. Delea, how's it going? Ooh, Panda Bear saying going to get a computer tomorrow. How awesome. How exciting. Chris Barber goes, do you know? Yes, I don't know how to change it because I'm not in my normal studio. And if I go down, you're going to see the floor. D-Nice, thank you for being a member of the Wolfpack for 13 months. Hearts for D-Nice. What's up, Dusty? How's it going? Hold on here. Give me a second. Ha ha! There you go. This a little better. I was trying to change, like, I even moved the camera and I was like, I still look like I'm like this. Sorry, guys. Now you guys can see me. Oh, well. All right, tonight we are going to get into the spooky wookie. And today it's going to be all about haunted houses. Marissa goes, there you are. Matthew goes like a kid at the counter waiting. Exactly, that's how I felt, Matthew. I felt like I was the little kid trying to go, excuse me, sir. Can I have a piece of gum over the counter? That's how I felt. I felt like I was 3 feet tall for a second there. So we're going to start off with the haunting of Belmont House. Now that you guys can see me and I can see you guys. Built in the 1820s near Fredericton. It's one of the spookiest houses in the province. Tucked away beyond some trees just past the Fredericton airport lies a house steeped in history. Down a driveway covered in pine needles, sheltered by a canopy of trees, sits Belmont House. It's been on the spot of land with an apple orchard to the right and the St. John River in behind for the past 200 years. But it does not say what city it's in. New Brunswick. Throughout its history, this three-story, they spelled story wrong, house with a wraparound veranda. I think they spelled veranda wrong too. What the? Who wrote this? Danielle from CBC. Proofread your article. Sorry, I had to point that out because it's one of my pet peeves, and I triple check like quadruple times, but I always end up having a typo and it irritates me. So I totally understand. You can look at something 3 times and it still looks the same, but then someone else reads it and then they're like, what's all these mistakes? Has been the subject of many ghostly rumors. The 14-room mansion built in the 1820s was once home to some of New Brunswick's best-known families. Now divided into apartments, tenant Rebecca Coswell has called it home for the past year, and in Cogswell's mind, there's no doubt there are ghosts inhabiting the property with her. Definitely more than 1 or 2 ghosts. A phantom cat, too, Coswell said. I think I've seen the phantom cat out of the corner of my eye. That's kind of cool. Phantom cat? Definitely. I'll move in. We can't go wrong with phantom cats, right? Coswell's living room is massive with expansive windows facing the St. John River and French doors leading off into a bedroom that was most likely a parlor. The floors are original, although painted a deep red. She points out the original nails in the floor, large and square, and some etchings on the original windows. They have the floors painted a deep red. Wow. Julia Thompson, an archivist at the Provincial Archives of New Brunswick, says there is a wealth of history and memories inside the walls of Belmont. A lot of New Brunswick's personality has come from that home, lived there, and family that lived there or been inspired by it in some way, she said. The home was built for a Supreme Court judge named John Murray Bliss in 1820, great-grandfather to well-known poet Bliss Carman. In the 1840s, it was home to Robert Duncan Wilmot, a New Brunswick lieutenant governor and a father of Confederation. In 1980, it was officially declared a National Historic Site. As for the tales of it being haunted, there are hints in the archives as to where those rumors originated. In the mid-1980s, well-known New Brunswick's journalist Jackie Webster rented one of the apartments and began writing about her experiences living there. So this is a picture of the house in 1951. It still actually kind of looks the same because the picture at the beginning of the article looks the same. In one of her articles, Thompson said Webster's tells the story of at least one candlelight vigil where they called on the presence of this ghost at Belmont House, and you could come to Belmont and be part of that. Elaine, how's it going? Webster believed that seance brought something negative out of Belmont, and she soon moved out. Power of suggestion, maybe, said Coswell of the story, but you get a sense sometimes that you're not alone. It doesn't really scare me. Coswell says one of the hotspots for ghostly activity in the apartment where she lives with her partner is strangely the bathroom. Why the bathroom? That is weird. You tend to kind of hear murmurs, voices every time you're in there, she said. You close the door and it sounds like people are talking in other parts of the house, like a conversation. It's definitely not music. It's definitely talking really low, she said. I've never been able to figure out what anyone was saying, and every time you pause to hear it or you start to move around the house, you can never seem to quite find it. Cogswell, who works from home, claims this happens multiple times every week, even when the television is off and her phone is silent in her hand. She said they don't own a radio. While she says the unexplained murmurs don't really scare her, the basement is another story. I think in any home, the basement is a scary place. The basement definitely feels like there's a heaviness, she said. It's almost a feeling like you shouldn't be there for too long. She keeps the basement door off the kitchen locked with a bell on the handle to scare off the ghosts, and the only use is the outside entrance to the cellar. This reminds me of that movie. What was it? Dreamcatcher? I think it was Dreamcatcher. Don't chat. Remind me. It was the one where they would put wind chimes. Was it Dreamcatcher? Wind chimes in the window to detect when I don't know what it was, like the ghost would come through. And thank you for gifting 5 membership hearts for Ann, and welcome. Hold on, Dusty, Claire, Nancy, Joe Holland, Jenny, Penny. To the Wolf Pack, hearts for Ann and all the new Wolf Pack members. Guys, don't be afraid to say hi. We do not bite. I know I'm a lurker myself, so I totally understand if you guys don't want to say hi, but don't be afraid to say hi. We do not bite. And then Marissa says, closets scare me. You know what, Marissa? I have a thing when I go to bed, I have to have my closet door closed. It's just a thing. It can't even be creaked open, like a little bit open. It has to be closed. So I kind of get you on that one. And just a reminder, your memberships are good for 1 month. The only space in the home Coswell refuses to visit is the attic. She said some people claim to see faces at those 3rd floor windows. I don't think anyone's been up there in 20 years, so yeah, I will not go up there. No, I think that would be pushing it a little bit too much. I saw Matthew saying that there's no basements in Florida. I don't think there's any in California as well. I've yet to see a house that I've gone into here in California, but there may be one, I don't know, that has had a basement. I would love to have a basement. They seem cool. Wendy goes, I need all cabinets and doors closed. Lucky to live in a historic home. Belmont House, Coswell said, has been sold and she isn't sure what the new owners will do with the property. She's planning to start searching for a new apartment. I feel like I'm going to feel more of a sense that I'm really not alone when we start packing up, she says. I feel like I'll feel more of a sense of loss. For all that she's experienced while living here, Coswell says she's never been truly frightened of whatever presence she feels in the house. In fact, she considers herself lucky to have lived in Belmont, a home that captured the imagination of her friends and family for years. I think they were more excited that I was going to come up with a really fun story. And I mean, I'm still waiting. You never know. After you leave, you never know what could happen, she joked. Even just a year of the of the 200 years that this place has been around. We're just a blip in its memory. So guys, one thing, like if you were to live, I know some of you had said in the past that you would never live in a haunted house, but say you happen to live in a haunted house and it happened to be like her where she's not frightened, what part of that house would you not go into? Elaine goes, same, I would love a basement, but it would be underwater in a hot minute. And guys, just a reminder, smash that like button when you get a chance. Lisa Boo says the attic. You know what? I have an attic, and I kind of agree with you in that one. I will not go into my attic. It's in my closet at home. So hence why I want to keep the door closed when I go to sleep. I swear to God, every time I open the closet door, I think I'm going to see something in there. And I look up and I'm like, nope. So I could, yeah, addict. I think I agree with you. Elaine says addict as well. D Nice goes, we all know my house is haunted. Yes, D Nice. Lisa Boo goes, it's creepy. Definitely. I think a basement I would like. I don't think a basement would scare off, even though in a lot of horror movies, a basement, it's either the basement or the attic in a horror movie. But I think the basement I would be at peace with. I don't know why. It's just attics. I don't know what it is. Dusty goes, attics are creepy to me too. D Nice says her parents' first house in downtown LA had a basement. Oh. Wendy goes, crawl space attics. That too, because I think that's what I have. I don't have one of those where, you know, where the ladder comes down and you can walk into it and stand up into it. I don't have one of those, unfortunately. I think mine are more like the crawl space where you can fall through if you hit the wrong thing. And I don't want to go up there. I don't want to find any critters up there. I don't want to meet Mrs. Widow or anything like that, or come across a raccoon that happened to find home in my attic. No, even though I like raccoons, but in an attic, I do not want to come face to face with a raccoon. Matthew goes, Buffy the Vampire Slayer house has a basement and it's in California. It's probably Matthew. It's probably, I want to say, the older houses that probably have attics in it. I mean, my house was built in the 70s. I want to say this one was built, I want to say this is like the 50s. I don't know. I'm just taking out a number. Or the 60s. Nikki has seen Nikki, how was that movie? Tarot. D Nice goes, my current house has an attic. The entrance is through my parents' closet. Thankful it doesn't reach my room. That's what I have, D Nice. And this house was built in 1988. Dusty goes, basements were the go-to party rooms when I was growing up in the 60s. Marissa goes, I love living in an apartment. No attack basement, crawl space for someone to hide. True. That is very true, Marissa. But guys, what did you think of the Belmont house? And if you had a chance, would you live in it? I would live in it. It looks like a beautiful house. And then considering the person that lives there now saying that she has seen a phantom cat and they haven't really bothered her, why not? If it doesn't scare you or bother you, why fix it? Lisa Boo goes, I would live in it. I would, and it looks like it's in a beautiful area. Marissa goes, heck yeah, I would love ghost pets. D Nice goes, I have cousins who went to Belmont High School. I don't remember it saying how many rooms it is, but the only problem with big houses like that is cleaning them. That's the horror story. But then again, if you can afford a house like that, you can probably afford a maid to help you clean it. But that's the horror story of the day, having to clean that house. Delay Lex goes, if they are friendly pets. I don't think they were menacing or anything. I think that they were friendly. Nikki Bella says it was great and amazing. Speaking of the Tarot movie, which I saw the trailer. I thought it was kind of interesting. Dusty goes, at my age, I prefer small houses. I think, to be honest with you, I mean, I don't have any kids or anything. I think a smaller house is better, to be honest with you, less to clean. I don't know what I would do with a 15-room house. But to stay in it for a week, I would stay in it for a week. Julissa goes, small houses are nice. Lisa Boo goes, a cabin would be great. Oh, a cabin in the woods. I second you on that one, Lisa Boo. Cabin in the woods next to a lake where your next neighbor is miles away. I would love that, honestly. And then you could go hiking around the lake whenever you wanted to. That's like my dream home. You might have some spooky neighbors, though, in the forest, but hey. Wake Sheepberry, what's up? How's it going? Tyrana goes, a cabin sounds great. It does, doesn't it? Relaxing. You don't have all that outside. No, you don't have the ghetto bird flying around like I'm hearing right now. You don't hear trains. All you hear is crickets. The occasional boos. Oh yeah, D Nice. I've been talking about Late Night with the Devil. Amazing film. As I said, it is for me it was kind of a slow burn, but I get it. It had to be because it was explaining the story. Beautifully shot. Enjoyed it. It was something different. I spoke about it. D Nice spoke about it in my previous stream, actually. Joanne goes, there is a cabin on the river where I keep my bees. Julissa goes, that would be nice, but I watch too many scary movies. I feel safer with neighbors. And oh yes, the wildlife, and then depending on what part of the world, you may encounter Bigfoot, the Mothman, the Jersey Devil. Who else? What was it? The Fresno Nightcrawler. Who else can I think of? Well, if you're in Michigan, the Michigan Dogman. Marissa, it is also, guys, if you guys have Shudder, it is also on Shudder. Late Night with the Devil. Shudder, it's prominent. It's mostly horror movies. It's basically a streaming service for horror movies. I don't know how much it is a month, but I think it's like $35 a year or something like that. It's actually not that expensive. D Nice goes, what if Skeledeck is really Bigfoot? Lisa Boo would make friends with Sasquatch. Wendy goes, old cabins come cheap for a reason. Dun, dun, dun. Marissa goes, in the Pacific Northwest, it's Stick Indians and Bigfoot. Chris, oh, okay, so Shutter $7.99 a month. Dusty goes, you were describing my little house, except I'm in a jungle with singing frogs. Hey, nothing wrong with singing frogs, Dusty. Marissa goes in the Oh, I read that one already. She said that there's stick Indians and Bigfoot. Joanne goes, there's outdoor pizza oven at the cabin. Hey, even better. D-Dice thinks Sasquatch is cuddly. So, I found this article. Again, we have a haunted house theme on tonight's show. I found this article. Elaine goes, the Rogaru, Louisiana werewolf. Another cool. Yes, definitely. I love werewolves. So this is inside the haunted houses of the British royal family. Even Queen Camilla says, I don't want to come back. This article is about a year old. Well, will be in October. Queen Elizabeth II, King Charles III, and Queen Camilla reportedly had encounters with spooky spirits behind palaces' doors. They actually admitted it? The British royal family doesn't need to visit a haunted house this Halloween. Chances are they're living in one. Hello Magazines, a Right Royal podcast, recently sat down with historians and a paranormal expert to learn more about infamous palace hauntings from over the years. With centuries of history behind castle walls, it's no secret that many royals have had encounters with neighbors from beyond. Yeah, they had encounters with neighbors. King Charles' grandmother, the Queen Mother, grew up in one of the most haunted venues in Scotland, Glamis Castle. Kinsley Schofield, host of To Die for Daily podcast, told Fox News Digital, oh my God, try to say that over and over again, To Die for Daily. That is a tongue twister. It is believed that multiple ghosts haunt the hallways of Glamis. Author Sir Walter Scott once wrote of his time alone at the castle, and William Shakespeare even used Glamis Castle as an inspiration for Macbeth. The ghost. So this is a picture of Glamis. It is a beautiful castle in Scotland. It is beautiful. One of the places that is on my bucket list. I've always wanted to visit Scotland. The Queen Mother had several ghost encounters at Glamis. Schofield shared one of the ghosts she spoke of was a young male servant. They believed he was there around the 18th century. Despite being mistreated throughout his time there, he is described as mischievous and funny. Witnesses say he trips people outside the Queen Mother's bedroom. He's also suspected of tugging at bedsheets in the middle of the night. He sounds like a cool ghost to share a castle with. He does. Glamis is home to numerous spirits, including a butler who allegedly hanged himself and the woman without a tongue who walks on the grounds pointing at her bloody, disfigured mouth, as well as a gray lady ghost, or Janet Douglas, who was burned at the stake for witchcraft in 1537. I don't know if I want to see the woman without the tongue. I don't know about that one. Alexander Lindsay, 4th Earl of Crawford, is allegedly a more sinister spirit who is heard screaming on the grounds, Schofield said. And Thomas Bowles Lennon, known as the Shun Royal or the Monster of Glamis for his deformed appearance, is also allegedly seen walking the grounds. King Charles' mother and aunt also weren't stranger to ghosts. So I guess we're going to go into the Windsor Castle. This is Windsor Castle. Windsor Castle, the preferred resident for royal weddings, is said to be haunted by numerous ghosts, including King Henry VIII. Oh my God, guys, if you can meet, because I used to be a big Tudor fan. I was obsessed with that show. If you guys can meet King Henry VIII, what would you say to him? And is known for basically the Tudors had painted him as a man that wanted a son, and if he didn't get the son, even though if my recollections is correct, the man is what determines the sex of the baby, if I'm not mistaken. But he would blame the woman. But he would be known for, and this is what the tutor had painted him, that he would move on with the next and off with their head type of thing. So what would you say to King Henry VIII if you came across him? I don't know if I would want to be near King Henry VIII because of what we know of him. And King George III, as well as Grenadier Guard, who pew-pewed himself. Both the late Princess Margaret and Queen Elizabeth II reported apparitions witnessing paranormal activity there of their late ancestor, Queen Elizabeth I. British royal expert Hilary Fordwich told Fox News Digital. Matthew would bring a radio and play Hermit's Henry VIII. Julissa goes, I'm a big Tudors fan too. I'd tell Henry VIII that he was a fool. Wendy goes, haven't we all had the blanket tug? Wendy goes, oops, it's my jittery feet. Wake Shapeberry goes, they found DNA of someone who was 99% human. I found that interesting. Where at? Wake Shapeberry. Oh, hunters had Bigfoot in their sight, but he looked to be human. They couldn't pew him, and they found the DNA of someone who was 99% human. Ooh, cool. Matthew goes, some people have Neanderthal DNA. Elaine goes, I would say, sir, read a biology book and get it together. I'd be like, you know what, Elaine? I'm with you on that one. I would hand him the biology book. But then Elaine, the problem is it would be I don't know if his ghost would think that, because it would be a more recent biology book and he might think it's a work of the devil or witchcraft. So I don't know if I want to hand him the book. You know what I mean? He'll be like, witchcraft, the devilry, off with your head. According to the podcast, both women saw the daughter of King Henry VIII, who died in 1603, in the palace library. Which one, Mary or Elizabeth? A lieutenant of the Grenadier Guards was also at the library one time when he saw the figure and immediately recognized it. He got up and followed it as she walked through the wall and vanished. According to reports, the Queen Mother has also been seen roaming the library, and the sounds of her heels can be heard. Witnesses say that they have both seen and heard the spirit of King Henry VIII limping and crying out in pain over his leg throughout Windsor, said Schofield. Witnesses also claim to see his wife, Anne Boleyn, around the Windsor grounds in phantom form. They say Anne can be seen standing at the window in the Dean's Cloister at Windsor's castle. Another story claims that Anne Boleyn can be seen running down the castle corridor, screaming, clutching her head. The mother of Queen Elizabeth I was beheaded in 1536. So I think when they were talking about the daughter of earlier in the article, I think they were referring to Queen Elizabeth, because he also had a daughter named Mary. Dusty would call him a chauvinistic pig. Wake Shapeberry goes, we all have Neanderthal DNA. So this is a picture of Hampton Court. London is also another place that is on my bucket list. Hampton Court Palace in England is also known for its peculiar activity. The most prevalent of restless royal ghosts, not surprisingly, are those of Henry VIII's wives, for which explained. Jane Seymour, mother of his only son. And I know in the Tudors, when they had explained Jane, I believe this was the only wife he truly, because she had a son. So this was the only woman that I feel like he praised that he had married, has been reported carrying a lidded taper walking along the Silver Stick Gallery at Hampton Court. Catherine Howard, beheaded for adultery in 1542, has been both seen and heard by many screaming for mercy from Henry in the haunted galleries of Hampton Court as she reportedly ran to try to meet with him as he prayed in the nearby chapel. Marissa wants to do the Jack the Ripper and a Charles Dickens tour in London. Oh, definitely. Jack the Ripper's, that would be so cool to take that tour. This is the Dumfries house pictured, and it is in Scotland. Dumfries house, an 18th century Scottish property, has proven to be the stuff of nightmares for Charles' wife, Queen Camilla. In the ITV documentary, The Real Camilla, the royal described how Charles restored the rundown property before it was opened to public in 2008. She described the heritage building as eerie. If you guys are familiar, I don't normally mention other YouTubers, but I do watch Slapped Ham, and he likes to say eerie a lot. I mean, he says it a lot. There was definitely a ghost without a shadow of a doubt, said the 76-year-old. I walked up the steps, got into the hall, and I thought, I can't go any further. I literally froze. I remember thinking I don't want to come back, and I didn't for years. It's been said that Camilla still refuses to set foot on the property. This is a picture of the Church of St. Mary Magdalene in Norfolk, England. The podcast also revealed that Charles has a scary encounter at the Sandringham. It was at the royal residence when the king, 74, and a footman found themselves being followed by a ghostly apparition. And Charles apparently can't escape the ghost of Buckingham Palace, the monarch London residence. Oh my, I don't know if are you guys familiar with what the heck is that show? It's gonna come back on Netflix. Bridgerton. I like that show. I am not afraid to admit that I like that show. I just rewatched, I think it was Queen Charlotte. I love that it's a part of Bridgerton, but it's more about Queen Charlotte, and I love that. And Buckingham Palace was her home. The monarch's London residence, the home built on a site that belonged to the monks of Westminster Abbey, is said to be haunted by an enchanted monk who wanders through the halls. Halls. Marissa goes, I hope Diana haunts Camilla. To be honest with you, like I have seen, I don't know how true like the stories I have seen. I don't know where I've seen. I don't know if it was in the what was that show? The Crown? I don't know if it was in that. I never finished watching it, but I don't know if it's that and how they portrayed the relationship that he was always in love with Camilla and they kind of forced him to marry Diana, but I don't know how true that is. I don't really follow it too much, but even though everyone loved Diana, but it kind of sucks if you're kind of forced to marry someone, but that's how it was back then. You were kind of married off to a good family, and it's kind of sad. Matthew goes, she needs to haunt Megs. D Nice goes, I think Diana's just resting in peace. I think Diana, I think she accepted her faith and she knows Carol, how's it going? I think she accepted her faith. So I think she knows, and she probably does watch over her grandbabies and her sons. Any mother would, so I don't blame her for that. Marissa goes, yes, I hear. I think she knew what she was signing up for. Also at Buckingham Palace, this is Buckingham Palace. Some have allegedly to have seen Major John Gwynne, King Edward the Seventh private secretary, private. According to reports, he pew-pewed himself in the first floor office of the palace. Former palace aides have alleged seeing a strange aura in the office and hearing a single pew-pew shot. Scotland's Balmoral Castle. I've heard of this. Beautiful castle. Beautiful. And it's pictured above. Queen Elizabeth's beloved summer home is said to be haunted by John Brown, a servant of Queen Victoria's. He's allegedly seen in the corridor still wearing his kilt. Queen Elizabeth, who died at Balmoral in 2022 at the age of 96, saw and felt his presence at one point. Schofield said the Tower of London is also a notable hotspot for ghosts. This is the Tower of London. The Tower of London is believed to host the ghosts of the two young princesses forced into the tower by their uncle Richard III in 1483. She explained, we believe that he murdered them, but no one knows for sure. They are said to haunt together forever in the Bloody Tower. Along the haunted halls, you could also stumble upon the ghosts of Henry VI, Lady Jane Grey, and notorious Anne Boleyn. I'm thinking, though, because they believe that they were murdered, why wouldn't... I know that you're not always going to get a response when you do go ghost hunting, but I'm wondering if anyone has gone into the tower with a spirit box or with ghost hunting equipment to see if they can communicate with the two girls to find out what happened to them. Because the two young princesses, because a lot of times I feel like, I don't know how, this is what I believe. I'm not sure how factual it is, but I believe that if a spirit dies tragically, that they'll stick around, and that could have happened to these two young princesses, and they will not rest until their story is solved. Like, I know it's like it's what the typical horror movies show, but I do believe that can happen. Elaine goes field trip. D Nice goes, the last time I was there was when I was 12, so I want to go back. D Nice goes, let's help Lisa reach the UK to investigate these monuments. Wendy goes, I want to go ghost hunting with Wendy. Wendy will go as long as I'm in front, right, Wendy? A captain of the guard once claimed he saw a light flickering in the Chapel Royal after dark. She continued, suspicious of the flicker, the chapel was locked, so he went to investigate by climbing a ladder. There, his eyes were met with a vivid procession of spirits like knights and ladies dressed in ancient costumes pacing the chapel. As he searched the room, he recognized a familiar face. It was Anne Boleyn. The guard was frightened, cleared off the ladder as the procession simply disappeared into thin air. Wendy goes, I got your back, girl. But not everyone is fazed by the supernatural. Paranormal historian Richard Felix told the podcast that Prince William didn't wince about the ghosts of Amer Hall, a Georgian mansion that was gifted to him by his grandmother. So this is Amer Hall in Norfolk, and it was a gift to Prince William from his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II. That is an awesome gift. Dusty goes, Scotland was my favorite on my Western European cruise. I did go on a Beatles tour in Liverpool, but Stonehenge was the most spiritual. Ooh, cool. When the Prince and Princesses of Wales moved into Anmer Hall. There was a ghost there of a Catholic priest that lived there and was hanged, drawn, and quartered for high treason, said Felix, and for some reason has returned to his home. It's probably the only place he felt peace at and safe, so that's probably why he returned home. Although he was executed in York, they've actually heard his voice, Felix shared. Before the Prince and Princesses of Wales moved in, they were warned about the ghost, and the comment was, I presume it was from Prince William. He said, no old hall would be complete without a ghost, would it? That is a great comment. True. Christopher Anderson, author of The King, told Fox News Digital the British history is so gruesome and bloody that the current generation of royals are not quite so susceptible to the spooky stuff. And of course, there's no point in frightening the children who have to live in these rather imposing, intimidating, and even rather scary places, Anderson explained. All the palaces and royal residences are loaded with spectral figures, supposedly. But if any of the current crop of younger royals have ever seen one, they've never spoken of it, to my knowledge. I don't think they would probably say anything if they saw something. Maybe amongst themselves they would, but I don't think they would probably tell their mom or dad. A notable exception is the king, who has heard the click, click, click of the late Queen Mother's heels. He shared, her ghost still walks the corridors of Clarence House, the house she occupied until her death. Charles and Camilla moved in shortly after, but there's one ghost the royals might be wary of seeing. The Stirling Castle of Scotland. So this is the Stirling Castle in Scotland. Legend has it that a maid of Mary Queen of Scots discovered her chamber on fire, said Schofield. The young woman courageously saved Mary's life, but physically pulling the queen out of the bedroom engulfed in flames. The ghost of this maid is said to watch over the castle today and appears as a warning over a potential fire or emergency. Which, I mean, I'm guessing if you're a royal, you're used to, you probably already know the ghost stories from when you're very young. So I like, as the article says, I don't think it phases them as much as probably the older people do. I think it would be cool I'm cool with ghosts as long as they don't mess with me. I'm fine living a perfect existence with creaks and clicking of heels and things moving. That's nothing. Like, to me, I'm like, it's someone they're probably there because that was probably one of their favorite places before they had passed. So I would not mind that at all. What about you guys? Elaine goes, that looks awesome. Wink Shape Berry goes, that's a scary castle. I think Wink Shape Berry, I think castles in general, they're awesome, but I would probably find them scary walking in them. But they're awesome from the outside. They are. Who does not like a castle? Come on. Wendy goes, I appreciate things that go bump in the night. I mean, I've never had any experiences with the bumps in the nights like maybe some of you have had in the chat, but I've never seen anything move or hear footsteps or mine have mostly been like in my dreams. I don't know if I was dreaming, but I was woken up. I don't know, it's about a month ago. I was woken up to knocking on my door. And I was like, it woke me up. So I don't know if it was in my dream or something was actually knocking on my door, but needless to say, I do not open the doors if I hear knocking because you know what that means. But I don't know if it was in my dream or if it was actually something knocking on my door, and I was the only one in the house at that time. Matthew goes, I would love a house made like the Ghostbusters firehouse. That would be cool. That would. Wendy goes, lucid moments, not a dream state. Maybe it could have been right in between, like I was waking and dreaming at the same time, but I don't know what that was. It woke me up, though. It was loud enough to wake me up, and I woke up and I was like, who the heck is knocking on my door? Like, there's no one here. Or there shouldn't be anyone here, you know what I mean? But lucky for me, I do lock my door when I go to bed, so I do that. So I didn't have to worry about some unsightly ghost opening my door, but still, that kind of was like, what was that? That kind of made me question that. I have no idea what that was. I have not heard it since, but I just remember it woke me up. Wake Sheep Berry, who would want fire poles in their house? That would be cool. Elaine goes, that it was creepy because it literally woke me up. I was dead asleep and I woke up and I was like, who's knocking on my door? So I lock down too, Wendy, but when I go to sleep, I always lock my bedroom door. But trust me, I lock, and nowadays you gotta lock everything. I know, even my car. I make sure my windows are rolled up. You never know. I know my neighbors, they like to leave. I guarantee you, I'm not gonna try it though, because of what I see, like they leave their windows all the way down in their car. And I guarantee you they probably leave their front door open. And that's just something I would not ever do. Tyrana goes, wow, it was, because I have no idea to this day what it was or is. Dusty goes, I look outside and check out my circle driveway before opening my door. I do have cameras that face my driveway, so and the walkway. So if something does come up, I do get that before going outside. But you never can be sure enough nowadays. D Nice goes, I'm that family member who stalks the security camera. Wendy goes, my neighbors are sketch. And I live in the country. Wake Sheep Berry ain't afraid of no ghosts. Have any of you guys heard of the Pennyford Farm nightmare? Chris Barber goes, no. Elaine goes, no. I have not either. I found this article. I guess it's about I kind of proofread it because I wanted to know what it was about. I guess it was a documentary that was on the BBC about these. Julissa says no. Tyrana goes no. D Nice watches. Marissa says no. D Nice watches the camera for the neighbors that allow their pets to poop in the yard. Before I get into this article, don't worry. It's funny. When I go walking in my neighborhood, because now you just remind me, there's a person that literally has signs, and I so want to do this, and I have not done it yet, but I walk by it all the time. There's signs like, you're on camera, and it shows like a dog, like on the sign, like a dog pooping. So I'm assuming, just like what D Nice say they've had people that have walked their dogs and that probably have pooped, and it goes, you're on camera, and it's like, and they have like 2 small trees in front of their house, and they put the signs on each one of the trees. And I so want to go like this in front of their house. I don't know why, but I just haven't done that. But I'm assuming, but they live on a cul-de-sac. But I walk up it because it's like it has an incline just to get that extra cardio. But I so been wanting to do it. Every time I walk by, I'm smiling because I'm thinking of doing it, but I don't do it. But I don't know exactly where their camera is because I've never sat there and looked. But D Nice just reminded me of that. Wendy goes, I love country life. I couldn't relate nor deal with city life. That's probably the good thing about country life, because in city life, you got to deal with neighbors. And some of them can be annoying. D Nice goes, Lisa, get out my neighborhood because I did that. Julissa goes, do it. I might do it. I'm going to probably do it. Dusty goes, I'd probably get chickens laying eggs in my car if I left the windows open. We do. I wouldn't want that. I don't blame you, Dusty. So this apparently it was a program on the BBC, and it goes ghost hunting at haunted house that sparked Hollywood interest. A child's gravestone in the garden, a monk-like figure supposedly appearing over a sleeping baby, and words carved on walls, all reported at a house once known as the UK's most haunted. About 300 apparent paranormal phenomenon was documented at a remote 17th century house that had national media coverage because of supposed spooky goings on. The multiple claims of unexplained was a tale that interests Hollywood. It came after a family started to speak about their Pennyford Farm nightmare. Reports which I have never heard of, and a few of you had said you had not heard of it either in the chat. Reports of muffled voices in empty rooms, figures appearing, hearing children singing, and carvings and stains appearing on walls were brought to national attention by Mum of Four, Rosemary Gower, who said she was desperate for answers. So this is the Penny Farm house. Which it gives a little kind of sub thing to this picture, which translate as end of road in Welsh, was situated in a remote area of North Wales. There were also claims of a huge wooden owl moving across the house on its own, and a pregnant girl appearing on the patio of their farmhouse in North Wales and then vanishing. Rosemary documented what she believed to be unexplained experiences and was so spooked that she got a psychologist into her home in Truden, Flintshire, to do a study, and he found no rational explanation. And as I was saying, it was a paranormal documentary. Now these reports of supernatural stories have been investigated in a new BBC documentary fronted by Radio 1 presenter Sean Ellery, who heard from those who say multiple spirits were doing stuff at Pennyford Farm that no one could explain. One day I was moving some dried flowers that had started to look a bit manky, so I decided to throw them away, Rosemary wrote after she started documenting the goings on in the late 1990s. It took them from the lounge to the kitchen. I took them from the lounge to the kitchen and put them on the counter, dropping petals all the way. So this is a picture, I'm assuming, of Rosemary Gower. Somebody came to the door, and I was about 30 seconds. And when I came back, every single petal had disappeared. They had been replaced by dead or dying, half-drowned wasp. Wow. Wakeshafe Berry goes, I saw that. Oh, Wakeshafe Berry knows about it. There was no sign of a wasp nest, and all of the doors and windows were shut inexplicably. The paranormal documentary Here's the Spooky claim started when the Gower family said they found a Welsh word written on an inside wall of their empty home after they had returned from a New Year's Eve party at their daughter's house. The family said it was Tyngnefed, which is Welsh for peace in a religious context. Tyngnefed. I am probably butchering it. I apologize in advance. The Gowers claimed this started a flurry of Welsh words appearing like Here em Oros, which means long suffering, and Erledu, which means persecutions. Ooh. Rosemary documented that the word appearing on the walls were uncommon Welsh words, and they, as a family from England, didn't speak or understand Welsh. It kind of sounds like, obviously uncommon Welsh words, but it sounds like old Welsh words used in a different time. Why was there a gravestone at Pennyford Farm, you ask? The family feel that the catalyst of the supposed paranormal events was moving a gravestone of a 15-year-old girl that had been propped up at the front of their home. Never move a gravestone. Never. Jane Jones' headstone had been on the front path since the Gower family moved in during 1997, but they moved it to a more discreet place for a garden reception after eldest daughter Nicolette's wedding. I would have just left it. The documentary found Jane was born to Morgan and Mary Jones in 1763 before she died in 1778 and was buried in a field. We looked into it and she was actually our relative, said local resident Maurice, who once lived at Pennyford Farm, who told the documentary about why the gravestone was in the garden. She died in childbirth and they wouldn't allow her to be buried in consecrated ground because of the disgrace of having a baby at 14. It is plausible Jane is on that land. Nicolette told the paranormal documentary that after the gravestone was moved, all kind of strange stuff kicked off. Well, you're disturbing her. I don't know what, I know it was common back then to move graveyards. And I know in previous streams I had talked about them moving the bodies as well in the middle of the night. I could not ever imagine doing that. I feel like once someone is buried, just leave them alone. I just feel like it's totally wrong. It's my belief system. I know other people believe other things, but I just do not mess with someone at rest, even if it is just a gravestone. Wakeshave Bear goes, when she interviewed the kids, they seemed generally scared years later. Lisa Boo goes, that's sad. D Nice goes, my grandfather's original headstone is in my backyard. We took it home after my grandmother passed. My mom displayed it as if he's actually buried in the backyard. Daniel, what is up? Oh, wow. I mean, that's kind of different, though, because that's like your family. It's kind of like your family, like your own family. I don't think the Gowers was related to that gravestone. But if it was, yeah, I think that's like a little, I feel a little differently about that one, D Nice. What did witnesses experience at Pennyford Farm? One night, I awoke and saw a figure standing over the cot in the corner where my child is, she said. It was leaning over, looking into the cot where Quinn was sleeping. I could see its face. It had a hood like a habit a monk would wear. I sat bolt upright and it had just gone. It creeped the life out of me. Paranormal, The Girl, The Ghost, and the Gravestones features exclusive video footage, audio interviews, photos, and eyewitnesses accounts from the house once known as the UK's most haunted. I am probably going to try to check that out. This sounds interesting. It is right up my alley. Nicolette, her husband and son Quinn lived at Pennyford Farm for a while when Rosemary relocated to Eastbourne in 2002 for David's job. It was a constant daily thing of weirdness, like words appearing on the wall when you be sat watching a program. Occupational therapist Nicolette said, Quinn's name appeared on the wall and I really didn't like that. How can you sit in a room and words appear on the wall? There was a brief moment of children singing and being in the bed and hearing the latch lift, a pause, and the latch would go down again. I could feel the tension. There was a figure in the corner of your eye. It was creepy. Nicolette's husband, Ian, also recalled two occasions. That's just a weird way of Ian. Weird spelling if it is Ian. Also recalled two occasions the Gowers family enormous wooden owl had moved on its own. And here is the wooden owl. And it ended up, I guess the picture's captioning, it ended up in the fireplace below a carving of a cross, which you can see. Adrian, the Gowers' younger daughter, also claimed to have seen the monk during a stay at Pennyford Farm, and Rosemary documented her waking up in the middle of the night screaming. I was asleep and woke up and felt this presence of something standing over me, and I said it was a monk, she told Paranormal. The family understand many do not believe their supernatural story, but Rosemary and her daughter are adamant that was not an attention-seeking hoax. Was Pennyford Farms paranormal story a hoax? And of course, they're always going to say this because we got a lot of those stories now about, especially with the Conjuring house, Amityville house, for example, Conjuring. I know, Matthew, you have said that the people living in the Amityville house have not had an experience. So it kind of dismisses the Amityville horror as being a true story. And then also, too, there's some kind of skepticism to go about with the Warrens. I used to be a true believer of the Warrens until I started doing a little research, and I'm a little skeptical when it comes to them now, too. And they seem to be involved with pretty much The Conjuring, A Haunting in Connecticut, Annabelle, you name it. They're involved with it. So it kind of makes me kind of question those films. So I get it that they would want to we're wondering why if it's a hoax. I get it. I totally understand. I think some people thought we were doing it to make money out of it. Well, I assure you we weren't, Rosemary told the documentary. John Paul has Down syndrome and learning difficulties, and I had to look after him, so I was quite busy, to put it mildly. We thought somebody was playing silly beggars. Daughter Nicolette added, it could have been my siblings because when things happened, they weren't at the house. My parents couldn't have had anything to do with it. They were in Eastbourne, hundreds of miles away. Her sister Adrienne admits she's not one to say I believe in ghosts, but she said, I know what I experienced. We never got to the bottom of it, she told the documentary. Even talking about it now, I think, do I want to talk about it? Do I look a bit mad? But it's what happened to me. Hollywood interest in Pennyford's Farm story. Whatever the truth may be, Mum Rosemary says American film directors wanted their stories as an inspiration for a blockbuster movie. We did have Hollywood, she told the documentary. They got to hear about it and they wanted to do a film and were going to pay us goodness knows how many thousands of pounds. But when we heard exactly how they were going to do it, we said, no, thank you. Go away. Goodbye. They were going to make up loads of stuff based on the true story, and it was going to be ridiculous. I would not ever sanction that. You either have a true story or you don't have it at all. Okay, I like this woman. The Gower family moved out of Pennyford Farm in 2012. Current owner Michael told the documentary he does not believe that his house is haunted. The chances of the paranormal being something real is just zero, he said. This wall was flooded with damp, and if you have a damp wall, you have stains. If you're creative, you could look at it and say, my gosh, it's a picture of a person's head. It would seem that the Gower family's departure from the farm, their paranormal experiences seemingly left with them. Also, too, I believe, not to dismiss that their story isn't real, but I also believe that if a person's not open to the paranormal, things will not happen to them. Like, I feel like you have to be open to it to experience it in a way. And I feel like if you're shut off to it, you're not going to experience anything. So I kind of have that a little belief, not to say that the Gowers are, it's a hoax, but that it could necessarily be haunted. You never know. The only way to find out is if you go, investigate the house yourself, really. So guys, do you believe moldy pareidolia? Daniel says. So do you guys believe that the Pennyford house is haunted, or do you believe that it is a hoax? Because the current person that lives in there says it's not haunted, but he doesn't believe in ghosts. I feel like the fact that Rosemary shot down the movie producers because they were going to exaggerate her story, I feel like that makes it more plausible to me. Because she wants the story to be told as she knows it, not exaggerated. And that kind of gives it gives more truth to it. Elaine goes, I'm in Switzerland. Tyrana goes, hoax, maybe. Tyrana, why do you think it's a hoax? Daniel goes, takes a different type of person to see things. I agree. I think it's just, you have to be open to it. You have to even if you're skeptical, you still have to be open to it, I feel like. And if you're not one to, I don't believe in ghosts, I don't care, you know, and dismiss it. And even if you hear a noise or you'll think of it as something else, but it could it could mean that it could have been a spirit walking down your hallway, but you dismissed it as the house creaking kind of thing. You know what I mean? Daniel goes, someone who is more open, more susceptible. Exactly. Wendy goes, spectrum. Tyranna Jessica says she's kind of skeptical. She's keeping 3 steps ahead. Nothing wrong with that, Tyranna. Nothing wrong. I'm 50-50, but the fact, like I was saying earlier, the fact that she wasn't going to sell her story when she could have sold her story for a lot of money, and she didn't. And that kind of makes me feel like she's very genuine because of that. But it like I said, it's hard to find to believe anybody's story unless you were actually there. So, and you actually go to the house and you actually investigate it yourself to find out if there's something really there or if you get a vibe off the house, because something may not happen when you go too, if you ghost hunt. So it's 50-50 when it comes to those. Like, I do believe in the paranormal. I do believe in ghosts. So, but I've always, the more research I do, the more I'm always going to have the skeptical side now. I'm going to question it, which is nothing wrong with it. It's good to have some skepticism when you're doing an investigation or you're at a location. So nothing wrong with it at all. Wendy goes, truth is in the eyes of the beholder. Yes. And I know I say this quote all the time. Jason from Ghost Hunters, he always says, and it makes sense to me, and this is why I always say it. It's like, if you really want to know if something is haunted, investigate it yourself. Go to the location. Go to a haunted location to see for yourself if something is haunted or if ghosts do exist. And I've always, I like that quote, and I always say that quote because it makes sense. D Nice goes, the poster behind you. I want to believe. Yes, Mulder's poster. It also says who you gonna, and I can't see the rest underneath it. I don't know. I know Daniel was trying to get the zone, but Lewis has his camera weird. My camera in my studio is not the zone, so I apologize. You can see the pores on my skin. You can see the booger hanging out of my nose. The pimple I have right here. No, I'm just kidding. Brandon goes, is Bernadette E.T.? Yes, he is. Bernadette gifted Lewis of Nerd Report the E.T. that's behind him. No, Daniel, I'm not in my studio because I don't have my cat ears. I tried fixing it, and I was like, nah, forget it. Wendy goes, I always booger alert. Well, that's how I feel when it's so zoomed in. It's like you could see my nose hairs, you know, and the boogers. Oh, well, you guys enjoy the nose hairs and the boogers. Yes, D-Nice. I don't have my spooky decor in my background. All right, guys, I don't know if any of us will ever go to Spain, but Spain is an interesting place. I don't know if I'll ever go to Spain. I would think it'd be cool to visit. I do know some Spanish, so I might be able to get by in Spain. Maybe, I don't know. But this is the 10 most famous haunted houses in Spain. And this article came out around Halloween last year, so you're going to hear about Halloween. During Halloween, some people enjoy dressing up for a good time with friends, while others prefer heading to the cinema to watch a horror movie. If you consider yourself brave, why not make the most of the spookiest nights of the year by joining our tour of Spain's best haunted houses and indulging in some Spanish ghost stories. Spain offers a variety of haunted places to explore, including those. I feel like I'm reading like a travel guide. Spain offers a variety of haunted places to explore, including those inhabited by ghosts, locations of heinous crimes, old mental hospitals, housing tormented souls, and houses where peculiar apparitions have been sighted. It is time to discover the 10 most famous haunted houses in Spain. Travel there if you dare. Ask us for more questions. Here's the number. D Nice Ghost, Spain is on my bucket list. Tyrana goes, there's no boogers. You're safe. Thank you, Tyrana. I appreciate that. Daniel goes, it just makes us love you more. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you. Matthew goes, there's a company called Fan Home. It's a subscription thing. You pay for a few pieces every month for over a year. They have a build a big ET. Oh, wow. Cool. They also have a put together kit from Knight Rider Enterprise 1701D and Iron Man figure. They are big kits. Ooh. Super cool. So it starts off with the House of the Seven Chimneys, Madrid. The Casa de las Siete Chimeneas stands at Plaza del Rey in Madrid. I like the Spanish name better. I don't know about you guys. Casa de las Siete Chimeneas stands at Plaza del Rey in Madrid and was once the secret hideaway of Captain Zapata and his wife, Elena. Nonetheless, their marital bliss was fleeting as the soldier met his untimely end on the battlefield in Flanders. His wife's life took a mysterious turn when she was discovered lifeless in their bedroom, yet the circumstances surrounding her demise remains shrouded in mystery. Adding to the intrigue, her body inexplicably vanished without a trace. Since that fateful event, it is rumored that a female presence roams amidst the seven chimneys adorning the rooftop of the property. Daniel goes, you were closer to your fan. Thorax Hospital, Terrassa. Another location steeped in death is the former hospital in Terrassa. I want to say Terrassa. It is, in its heyday, the hospital specializes in treating patients with severe respiratory illnesses and held the unfortunate distinction of having the highest S rate among medical centers in Spain. The slow and agonizing deaths of the parents led to a widespread sense of unease, often accumulating in S's. There are tales of patients being thrown from the 9th floor into the garden known as the jungle, and some believe that their restless spirits still haunt the hospitals surrounding to this day. And that is the picture of Thorax Hospital. And it does look kind of run down and creepy. That would be an interesting place to go to. But with these places, though, I would wear a mask because you don't know what's in the air or what is hiding, like the mold or what might be hiding behind the walls. And it's not the ghostly kind. It could be the kind that can affect your health. Cortijo, Jurado, or Urado, Malaga. Disturbing stories circulate about the mansion located in the Campanillas neighborhood of Malaga. The Herdia family, known for their high social standing, were the proprietors of this estate and have been implicated in the mysterious disappearances of several girls allegedly linked to satanic rituals. Many reports hearing strange noises at the Eerie Spanish location, while others claim to have witnessed figures in the windows. Some versions even suggest that there are torture devices in the basement and that the victims may be buried beneath the house. Enter at your own risk. That house looks creepy. Sanatorium de Santo Ángel de la Guardia, Madrid. I think I've heard of this one. I think I've read about this one before in a past stream. The sanatorium in the region of Madrid was built in 1941 to treat some of the most serious diseases that were plaguing the population back then, such as tuberculosis, leprosy, polio, fibrosis, and lung cancer. It was eventually, the problem is, if you see this picture above here, this is a place where I know I see a lot of ghost hunters not wearing masks when they go, or urban explorers, because there also are people that go to abandoned buildings just to check them out. And they're not necessarily ghost hunting, but they do find paranormal activity when they're, exploring. Like a place like this, definitely, I would wear a mask. I see a lot of them not wearing one. Like asbestos, like Wendy says, or lead or something in the that could be bad for your lungs. And that's exactly what this place was, a place for like lung cancer and fibrosis and polio. So definitely, if a note to self and to anyone out there, wear a mask when you enter these places. If they let you enter this place, I'm not sure if they do. It was eventually converted into a psychiatric hospital, and in 1995, it closed its doors once and for all. Until not long ago, it was possible to go inside this property, and visitors could find the records and personal objects of former patients. However, those who had been there speak of mysterious presences in the corridors, electrical devices that strangely stopped working for no reason, and doors that suddenly closed violently. Many people also claim to have seen lights in the immensity of plants that resemble lanterns walking around. The mystery of Ochate, Burgos. In this tale, or Ochate, it's probably Ochate. The mystery of Ochate, Burgos. In this tale, it's not just a house, but the entire village of Ochate that's rumored to be haunted and is famous for its paranormal mysteries. The Spanish village remained abandoned and unoccupied since the mid-19th century, having endured various epidemics that wiped out its population. In 1981, there was even a reported UFO sighting in the area. The ghost of Catalina in Casa Lecaro, Tenerife. The origins of this chilling tale, and I guess there's no picture. The origins of the chilling tale are connected to the ancient residence of the Lecaro family, found on Calle de San Agustin and dating back to the late 16th century. Catalina was a resident of this house, and many believe she was Antonio Lecario's daughter. It's said that she was compelled into a marriage with an elderly man, and as a result chose to end her own life by leaping into a well located behind the house, an area that is now sealed off with a wall. Legend has it that Catalina's body lies within one of the rooms in the house and continues to haunt the property. This is because, in her case, the church of that time refused to provide a Christian burial due to her S. It was kind of sad because that was common back then, where women were arranged marriages, and a lot of them to men that were maybe 30 or 40 years older than him. I feel for her. That is not, I couldn't imagine. Sometimes you lucked out. Maybe you had a great husband, but I could not imagine being stuck in that situation. I just can't. I don't know about you guys. That's the one thing. If I could go back in time, that is the one thing I would never want to experience. Preventorium of Aguas de Busot, Alicante. So this is an old sanatorium for tuberculosis during the Civil War, is nowadays associated with strange events and rumors that the church within the building was home to sessions of spiritualism, Ouija, and black magic. Ooh. That place looks creepy. It looks cool out. You could see the stars, so it might be in a like a isolated area. But it looks cool though. Wake Shape Barry goes, most marriages were yes, they were. And that's the one thing. Dusty would be more worried about the structure collapsing, that too, or falling through the floor. Tyrana goes, it's creepy looking. It is. I mean, that'd be a cool place. That's a cool shot too. Old building of the Provincial Council of Granada. During work on this site, workers got quite a shock as human bones were discovered. Later, when the building was used as a provincial council, strange phenomena such as ghostly presence, gust of wind, noises, and mysterious lights happened that eventually frightened the workers in the building in the city of Granada. That is supposed to be a nice area, but I'm sure if you're walking down this alleyway in the middle of the night, you might find some spooky happenings. Belmise de la Moraleda. Wain. Another noteworthy supernatural occurrence with significant nationwide repercussions in Spain is the case of the faces of Belmise, resembling human countenances. These mysterious markings on the floor and walls have been appearing and vanishing within the premises since 1971. This uncanny phenomenon unfolds in a residence located at Calle Real number 5, Número 5, in the town of Belmez in Jaén. And astonishingly, they persist even into the year 2023. It is a genuine haunted house in Spain, inviting you to visit at your own risk. Daniel goes, that's a different kind of hopscotch I've ever seen. Yes. I was not thinking that when I was reading, but yes, because I didn't really pay attention to the picture. Teatro Islava Madrid. This location in the center of Madrid will be familiar to many, used nowadays as a nightclub and concert venue. Ooh. In the past, however, literary rivalry and a quarrel over a woman were the cause of the murder of a playwright, Luis Anton, on 2nd March of 1922 at the hands of Alfonso Vidal in the old theater. Since then, it has been said that his soul wanders around the place and haunts partygoers to this day. I hope he enjoys house music. Well, I don't know what kind of music they play there, but you never know. All these places seem cool. I would not mind visiting them. Daniel goes, as you play, the squares disappear. You'll never win. So, guys, what out of those locations, which one would you like to visit? I would like to visit all of them. They sounded cool. I think the ones I find creepier are like the sanatoriums, or even the house with 7 chimneys, because of the story, how her husband had died in war and she mysteriously disappeared. But they all seem, it seems like it it was never on my bucket list, but kind of is now. Wendy goes, I can't hopscotch my way out of that, but all those places were cool. I found them all interesting. Lisa Boo goes, yes, sanatoriums are creepy. Daniel would go just to see the beautiful architecture. The paranormal is an added plus. That too, Daniel. It looks beautiful there. And it is full of history. And you know, when a place is full of history, what follows that? The energy of the people of the past and the happenings of the past. But it is pretty cool. All right, this isn't about a haunted house, but we are gonna one last article, guys, and then we're gonna open it up for questions. Daniel goes, I'm a doer. I want to learn all. Lisa Boo goes, I love history and architecture. Tyrana goes, it does look beautiful. Little movie news here about The Exorcist. It made news because of the subject matter. Probably considered a classic. Because there was no movie like it back in, I believe it came out in 1973. Hauntings, The Impossible, The Exorcist, and What You Never Knew About the Iconic Horror Film. It takes a lot to scare kids in 2024. I don't think so, because nowadays the movies are all about jump scares and CGI. Kids nowadays don't know what movies used to be like. With all the shiny new tricks of CGI movie technology, it is getting harder and harder to deliver that true spine-chilling internal fear that makes horror films so great. Gen Z and Gen Alpha kids may arrogantly scoff out retro scary movies, but it hasn't always been this way. Dude, the retro scary movies are the best. No CGI, practical effects, animatronics, come on, claymation in some of them. How can you not think that's creepy? I felt like that was better than now. There was once a time when picture-goers were so viscerally terrified by what they were seeing on the big screen that it would trigger powerful physical reaction right there in the theater. During Jaws of 1975, people fainted and vomited in the cinema during some of the gruesome scenes, while others stopped going swimming in the ocean altogether out of fear. There's still movies. I mean, they're saying like Terrifier 2, people vomited out of watching that. There's also saying in a movie that's coming out on May 31st, I believe. If you guys haven't checked out the trailer, check it out. I would play it here, but YouTube likes to be pesky. Or scandalous. Scandalous is the new word. It's in a violent nature. During the screenings, they said people had also vomited. So we are still getting those responses with movies nowadays. But I still think people, even if, but they'll still walk into, it's not like the effect of Jaws at all of going in the ocean. It's kind of different, but we still have somewhat of that effect. Alfred Hitchcock's classic film, Psycho, from 1960, sparked mania during the infamous shower stabbing scene, while reports of people hyperventilating and passing out in their cinema chairs. However, one of the most horrifying movies to ever hit the big screen, causing widespread panic, fear, repulsion, is William Friedkin's The Exorcist, which came out in 1973. This movie also, this is where the Ouija board started to get its bad reputation. And it came from this movie. Based on William Peter Blatty's 1971 novel, the film follows the demonic possession of a young girl and her mother's attempt to rescue her through an exorcism by 2 Catholic priests. Well, I shouldn't say about the Ouija board's bad name, but it got where it was evil, I should say more, was after this movie came out, because people were very open to using a Ouija board in the past. And I'm surprised how open they were, because they would it would be like playing a card game to them way back. And then once this movie hit, it started changing people's view of it. With some widely disturbing scenes, including some bizarre 360-degree head-spinning, eerie spider walking on the stairs and some disgusting projective lime green vomit, it shocked those 1970 audiences in their core. I believe Linda Blair was also, she was really young. How old was, if you guys, I don't remember. I think she was 12 or 13 when this movie came out. She was really, Julissa goes, this movie still scares me. Carol goes, I gave my mom one hell of a bruise while watching Jaws. I grabbed her arm. Elaine goes, while I was doing my older daughter's hair in the morning, we would always watch B horror films from the 80s. Awesome, Elaine. That's super cool. Wake Shape Berry goes, The Haunting, the original. Bernadette goes, that's how I always look when I'm sick. Daniel goes, the end of Carrie got me, the arm coming out of the oh yeah, that got me too. One particular vulgar scene involved a crucifix. That is too crude to describe here. If you guys are familiar with the movie, you do know what she does with the crucifix. I am not going to describe it here too. I agree. It's too crude to describe. YouTube might be scandalous with me and demonetize me just for saying that. If I do describe it. Shocked and upset many, especially considering the percentage of people who were religious back then. The flick was so scary that even renowned Chicago Sun-Times film critic Roger Ebert was at a loss for words about how it made him feel. I am not sure exactly what reasons people will have for seeing this movie. Surely enjoyment won't be one, he stated. Are people so numb they need movies of this intensity in order to feel anything at all? As disturbing as it was to viewers at the time, it was still insanely popular. People go to movies to escape. So I don't think it has anything to do with the intensity. They just go to escape the everyday stresses that happen in our lives. Eager moviegoers were lining up for days to nab a ticket and were even bribing security guards $110. That's $773 in today's standards to skip to the front of the line. Wow, that's crazy. One New York Times report from January of 1974 reported on the unbelievable impact The Exorcist had on audiences, with some allegedly even having heart attacks and one woman suffering a miscarriage due to it being so terrifying. What? That is crazy. Once inside the theater, a number of moviegoers vomited at the very graphic going-ons on the screen, the article read. Others fainted or left the theater, nauseous and trembling, before the film was half over. Several people had heart attacks. A guard told me one woman even had a miscarriage, he said, which they had said previously. That is crazy, guys. Well, I've never heard of anyone having a heart attack or a miscarriage over watching a horror film, but I can see how that can happen. Yes, that is crazy. That is crazy. Carol Goes Psycho is one that bothers me because it can happen. D Nice goes, I think she was 12. Chris Berg goes, Damien, why do you do this to me? Oh my God, Omen is like one of my favorites. Wendy goes, I have the vapors, as my mom would say. It's crazy. I have never heard, but I can see why. I mean, your blood pressure gets pumping. Sometimes you get scared when you watch these. I mean, I don't. I've seen enough to where it doesn't scare me. As truly terrifying as the film was to see, have you ever heard about the even more horrifying happenings behind the scenes of The Exorcist? What? There's more horrifying happenings? Was the film set haunted? Many claimed it was a curse or haunted production, with some involved in the film meeting unfortunate fates. Spooky things occurred on the movie set itself, rendering the entire production even more spine-tingling. Apparently, some staff at the cinema where film had its opening night met with tragedy. An usher at the theater fell under a subway train and lost his arm, while the mother of a cashier passed away. What? During the making of the movie, it's been reported that a whopping 9 people had passed. A huge fire also shut down production for more than a month, and star Ellen Burstyn, who played the mother of possessed Regan, severely injured her back. I know on The Omen, there was an airplane crash, or not an airplane crash, but like lightning hit the airplane, if I'm not mistaken. Kyle, what is up? So The Omen has also had its share of things happening on set. And I also know that Poltergeist did as well, because if you guys all know that the skeletons in the pool scene were real. So they actually used real skeletons in the filming. I'm not a convert to the occult, but after all I've seen on the film, I definitely believe in demonic possession. Director William Friedkin, who died at age 87 in August of 2023. Oh, that was recent. Told horror magazine Castle of Frankenstein in 1974. There are things that cannot be treated by medical or psychiatric means. It seems strange, foreign, and impossible, but it exists. We were plagued by strange and sinister things from the beginning. It is simply the hardest thing I have ever done in my life. Fredericken said his first brush with bad karma during production came with the statue of Pazuzu. The film's evil spirit did not arrive in Mosul, Iraq as planned. The prop, which was built in and shipped from Burbank, California, mysteriously wound up in Denmark instead. It was lost, the director said on stage at the 45th anniversary event. We couldn't start shooting in Iraq for 3 weeks or 4 weeks. A far more treacherous delay happened later on the 20th Century Fox Studios, the West 54th Street in New York City, when a fiery blaze enveloped the McNeil house in the early hours of the morning. Bizarrely, the incident occurred during the time they were filming the famous exorcism scene. The production manager called me at 4 a.m. and said, "Don't bother to come to work today," Fredkin recalled. I said, "Why? Am I fired?" He told me no, but the set had just burned to the ground. Even more chilling was that while the fire seemed to destroy the entire house, but the room where they filmed the exorcism was miraculously completely unscathed. The accident, it turns out, was caused by a pigeon that flew into a light box. After 6 weeks of rebuilding, filming resumed. Actress Ellen Burstyn was whacked in the face by the possessed Regan during one scene, causing her to fall backwards. The stuntman, with a wire attached to Burstyn's waist, would then rapidly pull her toward the wall. Give me a second, guys. The actress, who was 40 during the filming of the movie, recalled being pushed to the brink filming the scene over and over again. After 3 attempts, Burstyn finally said to the director that he was pulling too hard, asked him to lighten up, and Fredkin replying that it has to look real. Sadly, she was right. On the 4th take, the actress landed so hard on her COCCYX, she yelled in excruciating pain. Burstyn claimed seized upon the genuine moment and pulled the still rolling camera on her. "I was furious when he did that, exploiting the pain I was feeling," she said. "Since then, I've always had trouble with my back." While no accidents during the filming of the movie were fatal, a whopping 9 people involved or associated with the production died during it. There were 9 deaths, which is an enormous amount of deaths connected with a film that is, she said in a documentary about the film called The Fear of God. That is quite a few people to pass during the filming. Some very directly, like actor Jack McGowan, who gets killed in the film, completed shooting and died. McGowan played Burke Dennings, the film director who was killed by Regan. The Irish thespian died of influenza at the age of 54 during the London flu epidemic. The assistant cameraman, whose wife had a baby during the shoot, the baby had passed. The man who refrigerated the set passed. The young black night watchman passed, she continued. Vasiliki Melaros, who played the mother of Father Karras, John Miller, who passed during production in February of 1973 at the age of 89. Joe Himes, the movie publicist, was extremely unnerved by the unexpected death happening around him during the filming of The Exorcist. There weren't casualties from stunts or things like that. These were men standing behind the camera and all of a sudden dropping dead, he said. Whew, that's crazy. Carol Smart, thank you, said her tailbone. Thank you. Wendy goes, cracking your tailbone is no joke. Subliminal horror. One aspect of The Exorcist that makes it so incredibly creepy is the subliminal imagery throughout the film. The director did this in order to unsettle viewers. The sound of bees was used in some early sequences as the apparently can trigger an innate fear response in most people. While you might not know you feel uncomfortable, your flight or fight instinct is screaming that something dangerous is near. While the buzzing of bees is a primal fear, it doesn't do anything for me. I don't know about you guys, but hearing buzzings of bees is kind of calming for me. I don't know. It doesn't give me fear. Fredkin said he also layered in disturbing industrial sounds in the background of the demon scenes, creating the subconscious desire to back away from danger. The most notable subliminal trick, however, is the infamous white face that flashes for just a fraction of a second during Father Karras's dream about his deceased mother. The face was never meant to be detected by audiences, but after the introduction of a VHS tapes, viewers were able to pause and see it properly for the first time. You couldn't catch it before VHS, Fredkin lamented, and now you can stop the DVD and stare at it. The face, actually the stand-in for Regan, played by Linda Blair. The makeup was actually the first proposal of the little girl's demon's appearance before they settled on the mutilation motive. She had all white face and red lips, Fredkin said. I didn't like the makeup for the demon, but viewed as a quick cut, it was very frightening. It has now been over 50 years since The Exorcist hit our screens, and many would agree it is still as horrifying as ever over 5 decades later. So, guys, what did you think? Wow. I did not know all that stuff happened during The Exorcist. Wake Shakespeare goes, mind you could say the same about the cast of Glee. D Nice goes, certain words will for sure piss off YouTube human reviewers. COCCYX is one of them. Daniel goes, I have huge wood boring bees, 20 at a time flying around me. Ooh, wow. Gunner Girl, I broke my tailbone when a pit bull came charging at me, and my dog, I fell in 2 pipes sticking up. Oh, wow. Oh, ouch. That is crazy. That is super crazy. Hold on, guys. My phone does not. All right. The Shamanistic Unicorn Tam, how's it going? All right, guys, I am going to open it up for questions. You can ask away. Could be horror related, could be something you just happen to see. D Nice goes, it made me rub my lower back. Just reading about it made me. I was like, oh. But that was crazy with all the stuff that happened during The Exorcist. I've never really looked behind the scenes of The Exorcist. I've always looked at like The Omen and Poltergeist and other films, but I've never really looked into The Exorcist, and that was kind of cool. It's just like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It actually has no blood in it. But that movie is still terrifying with no blood. I know in the reimagining ones, because it's the same story every time they redo it, but it's the same story. They just changed some aspects of it. They did add blood, but Wendy goes, I'd like to look into The Omen. Wake Sheep Bear goes, what's your favorite horror movie? I have too many to list. I know when everyone asks me what my favorite horror movie, I have way too many. I like the older horror movies, the ones that I grew up with. I like practical effects over CGI. Hellraiser is one of my favorites. My favorite like horror subgenre, if you could say, is slasher films. I love slashers. I can watch slashers all day long. My first love is Friday the 13th. I love Jason. I do like Halloween. Hellraiser became my second love because I love Pinhead and the Cenobites with the limit configuration. I've always liked that about the demons coming out because you call for them through this box. The only good Hellraiser is pretty much only good, I say, until the 4th one with the toy maker, and then after that it goes downhill. I love The Omen. I grew up watching The Omen, Poltergeist, The Gate. I always put The Gate there. I mean, it might not seem scary to some of you, but I just love The Gate. Ghostbusters. I don't know if you consider Ghostbusters a horror movie, but I loved Ghost. It's more of a campy horror, like a comedy horror. Evil Dead, I did not like until I got older because I could not fathom comedy with horror until I was older, and I saw Ash versus Evil Dead, fell in love with Evil Dead, love Evil Dead now because of it. But there's probably so many I'm missing. Daniel goes, Lisa needs to make a copy and paste list of 100 movies and says, this is my favorite. Yes, thank you, Daniel, exactly. Thank you, D-Nice, for dropping by. Bernadette goes, every time I see the Imperial 8 at in the background, it looks like it wants to fart. Just had to say that. Oh, Tyranna goes, all great movies, and don't forget Saw. Exact Saw. Oh, I love Saw. I love all 10 of them. Well, Saw, I don't know. Saw, just no matter what, it was always interesting to watch for me. The only one I didn't really super like was Spiral, but I loved John Kramer. I love Billy the Doll. Oh, I could go on. Saw is a good one. Saw is like it's a horror, but it makes you think at the same time because there's a twist at the end. So I kind of like it's like a psychological thriller horror movie all put into one. Love Saw. The last Saw 10 was amazing. You need to see Bernadette. You need to see Saw X. It's amazing. Daniel goes, I have a movie, Evil Feed. Ever hear of that one? The cook humans at a restaurant, and the special is, I won't say. No, I have not. Huh. May have to check that out. I may have to check that out. I know I'm missing so many. That's right, Daniel. I need to make a list of 100 so I don't forget. Bernadette goes, I'm waiting to show Brandon all the Saws. He's never seen them. Daniel goes, it's kind of corny. I still like it because I've always liked the blood and guts movies. It never bothered me. So I always liked blood and guts since I was young. I got a kick out of it because everyone around me would get, oh my God, that's disgusting. I'll be like, oh my God, that is so cool. Like at a young age. So I was like, always got a kick out of it because it never affected me. Kyle goes, measure once, Saw 10 times. It definitely is bloody. And I know I'm missing some along the way that I grew up watching. My Bloody Valentine is good. Prom Night. They're all, I mean, all those movies, those slashers that came around Friday the 13th and Halloween are about the same. So Prom Night, My Bloody Valentine, even the new My Bloody Valentine I liked. There's Pumpkinhead. There's I Know What You Did Last Summer. I really wasn't a big fan of I Know What You Did Last Summer, but I'm mentioning it. There was another one. I can't think of it. With that guy that was, I can't think of it. It was a guy that had this weird face and he had a top coat. And it was like, it was a slasher film and they were in the country. I cannot think of the name. Well, there was that movie, but I can't think of the name right now. Daniel goes, Socks. I keep rewatching it. I have it. Wake Sheafberry likes Peter Jackson. Lord of the Rings? Wake Sheafberry? Cabin in the Woods. That's a strange one, but I like it. I even like Hostel. There's people that don't like Hostel. I liked Hostel. Yeah, there. Bernadette read my mind. What about Hostel movies? It's scary because some of those stories are kind of true about certain hostels. Love part 2. Love Hostel. Every time it's weird when I see the word hostel, because walking down, even in Hollywood, when you're walking down, you'll see hostel, and I'm like, oh my god! Every time I see it, it reminds me of that movie. I go, I ain't going in there. Hell no. Daniel. I was making a joke about you trying to guess the name of the movie. I was mentioning the spoof of it. I would have watched that spoof, Daniel. I actually thought it was real because there's weird movies like that. And I like those weird movies. Kyle goes Cube, aka Saw, before there were Saw movies. Catching theaters next summer. Wake Shape Berry goes, yeah, Peter did an amazing gore film before. Oh, he did? Ooh, I did not know that. All I remember of Hostile is the guy grabbing the thing, and he goes like, which one am I going to use? Yes, Carol, I have seen The Cabin in the Woods. I found it interesting. I did find it interesting. I do like, I like Asian horror. Asian horror is probably one of my favorites too. And then I like, Spanish horror. They know how to do horror. So do Asian. I don't know. I like they know how to do, ghost stories. Cause I never know what to expect in those movies. Like American horror, I always know what to expect. Especially in the Conjuring universe. But Asian horror, I don't know. I always get chills when I see the spirit. Like you have the person in the elevator and then the person moves out of the elevator and you see that girl with the hair over her face standing in the corner. Oh, I always get chills. Daniel Miles, the only Rob Zombie movie I liked, and I know a lot of people don't like it, is House of a Thousand Corpses. I loved House of a Thousand Corpses with and Carol just mentioned it, with Captain Spaulding. I just love, and with Dr. Satan. The Grudge, Carol, I like Ju-on better than the American version. I prefer Ju-on. But that is my favorite one over the Ring, 7 Days. Bernadette goes, I was eating a ham sandwich when I watched part 2 and the guy was cutting the young guy's leg to the meat. I was like, meh, didn't faze me. I'm the same way, Bernadette. I can eat an entire dinner and be fine. I'll be like, Elaine likes India horror. Ooh. There's a good Korean film I always recommend. It's The Tale of Two Sisters. Very good film. And I know it always pops up on the list of good Asian films to watch. I like Ju-on. I don't think I've ever seen Ringu, the Japanese version of The Ring. So I'm going to have to revisit that. I don't think I ever did because I'm a bigger fan of The Grudge than I am of The Ring. Though I do like Samara and the 7 Days. Chris Barber goes, I don't watch any movies with subtitles. I have to be in the mood to watch a movie with subtitles. I do. Elaine goes, I put some on Telegram. All right, I'll check those out. Kyle goes, psychological suspense thriller horror is far better than gore fest horror. I like those too, Kyle. I see what you're saying, but I like all horror, but I like the gore too. Bernadette goes, in fact, I'm gonna make a turkey for when I watch Thanksgiving. Wake Shape Berry goes, the original Ring is the best. I have not seen that one. That was the one I need. I just realized I've never seen Ringu. So I am going to check that one out. and I saw which actor was in it, and the actor's in it. He's a well-known like martial artist, and I was like, he's in it. So I'm definitely gonna check it out. I'm probably gonna enjoy that one better than the American one, but I'm gonna check it out. All right, guys. Any last minute questions before I end this stream? Just making sure I didn't forget anybody because I hate when I do that. All right. Any last minute questions, guys? Tyrana goes, great stories. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Tyrana. Thank you, Elaine. Thank you, Lisa Boo. Before I lose my voice, for some odd reason, Bernadette goes, am I the only one that gets hungry with horror movies? I don't get hungry, but I can eat during them. Thank you, Wendy. Great stream, Lisa. Appreciate that. All right, guys. I am going. Thank you, Gunner Girl. Thank you, Lisa. Great stream. Thank you, Gunner Girl. Appreciate that. Wake Shape Berry goes, what would be your ideal investigation site? I would probably go, before I leave, I'll answer Wink Shape Berry. Thank you, Daniel. Thanks for the close-up exclusive ghost stories in the nudes. No problem, Daniel. Wink Shape Berry, I would probably want to go someplace, probably like a creepy, I tend to like the stories, like I like sanatoriums and hospitals. And then I like the stories where, like mysterious stories, like where someone had died in the house, stuff like that, or like a creepy, good haunted house would be good too. But I like the hospitals and the sanitariums. That would be cool. And then also, yes, Wendy, I agree. Too many to list. Good haunted house. I love the stories where, like, the tragedy with the loved ones, where someone they died and they're searching for their long lost love type of stories. I would love to investigate something like that. That's cool to me. Wink Shapeberry, yes, places with history, definitely. There's too many to list. Dusty goes, another great night. Thank you, Dusty. I appreciate that. All right, guys, I am good. Great question, Wink Shapeberry. I am gonna end the stream here. I'll see you guys on the next one. This week I will be out of town, so there won't be any live stream on Thursdays or Saturday of this week because I'm going to be in Vegas. I'm probably going to go live tomorrow, so keep an eye out on my socials to make up for the week. But I do have videos dropping to keep you occupied while I am gone. So be there, be square, guys. Stay spooky, sweet nightmares, and have a good one. Good night, guys. Thank you, guys. You are awesome.